Hi guys, this is an example of an expository essay for STAAR, which is the English 1 exam. And recently we read a prompt that said, explain how music enhances our lives. So your job was to explain how music makes your life better, or how it makes our lives better. I just want to point out a few things. We have our introduction paragraph here. Then we have one example, a second example of how music makes our lives better, and then a concluding paragraph where your thesis is restated. So I'm just going to go through it pretty quickly, just to point some things out. So in hopes that your essay for the expository test is the best you can write. And remember, an expository essay is about explaining. You're not trying to persuade here. So therefore, in the conclusion paragraph, you're not going to have a concession. You're not going to have a call to action. That's only for persuasive essays. So your job is to explain how music makes our lives better, how it enhances our lives. So my hook is, from even before we are born, we can hear our mother's heartbeat. This is our first introduction to music, and for most of us, music makes every moment better. Music enhances our lives because it reduces our stresses and it helps us recall memories. So I've underlined my thesis, and remember, your thesis is what is going to drive your paper. It's like a roadmap for your paper. So I know as a reader that my first example is going to discuss how music reduces our stress. And I know as a reader that the second example is going to discuss how music helps us recall memories. So it helps the reader understand what they're about to read. And it also helps the writer stay on topic. So my first example starts with a transition. To begin with, I'm terrified to fly, but when I do work up the courage to get on an airplane, I always make sure to have my iPod charged and ready to go. I load it with relaxing and comforting songs that help me forget my fears and play tunes that make me feel safe. The last time I flew, I went to Costa Rica. I didn't know anyone on the trip, so my music was the only thing that saved me from having a nervous breakdown. I listened to songs that my dad loved, and that made me feel like he was with me, keeping me safe. Clearly, having my music with me reduced my stress and made it possible for me to travel. So, again, I have a transition here, and really, really important. We already discussed this through over the last few weeks, that you need that last sentence to ensure that you tie your example back to your thesis. It's super important to add that last sentence. I put a transition here clearly. You could have said therefore, you could have said for this reason. Having my music with me reduced my stress and made it possible for me to travel. This just wraps up your example and reminds the reader that you are talking about how stress can be reduced through music. I even highlighted the word stress so you can see that I did indeed tie that back to my thesis. So don't forget that last sentence on each of your in each of your paragraphs that you're writing your examples about. It's very important. My second example is here. I have my transition again. I'm saying, in addition, music is incredibly connected to memory. In the documentary Alive Inside, social worker Dan Cohen worked with Alzheimer's patients in a few nursing homes. He figured out what their music was from their younger years and loaded it onto iPods. The results were miraculous. Patients who had not spoken or remembered much in years began talking, recalling their youth, dancing, and smiling after listening to their music. The tunes touched a part of the patient's brains that had been asleep and helped evoke memories everyone thought were long gone. Therefore, music has a unique way of helping us recall events that have been buried deep in our memories. So once again, I made sure that I put a transition here at the end, in the last sentence, and this very last sentence ties back to my prompt. And again, I highlighted recall memories just so you can see that I am staying on topic. And that is what a good thesis does. It keeps you on track, keeps you on topic. And these last sentences, this one here and this one here are going to really keep your essay very focused and really have a successful essay when you're done. And then I have my conclusion. And in the conclusion, I just want to restate my thesis, wrap things up, and just kind of go back and say how music makes our lives better and maybe how it makes our lives better, but just in a little bit different wording. So I said, music is with us from the very beginning of life, and it is there for us through the good times and the bad until the very end. Music makes our lives better for many reasons. It makes us feel good, it helps us recall past events, and it makes us happier. That's all very simple, just restating my thesis there, nothing extraordinary, but definitely, revisited my thesis again. So it's very similar to the persuasive essay. Really, the only difference, significant difference, is that conclusion paragraph. It's where you have that call to action and the concession and the call to action. So very, very similar. You still have an intro and two examples and a conclusion. You still have the use of transitions and a thesis, of course. And then you still want to make sure you have those last sentences in each paragraph that ties back to your thesis. So hopefully this will help you have a really successful writing experience on the English 1 STAAR exam.